It's not 3:10, so let's live in the real world. Two announcements. One of the bands is not going to be able to make it today, and the name of that band is the Insect Surfers. Sorry. I hope you're happy, whoever, whatever. Another thing, and I really mean this, I take great pride in introducing a real friend of the Lennon Peace Tribute Incorporated, someone who has participated in all of our tributes and who stood with us in the rain at the Bobby Kennedy Candlelight Folk Sing at the Lincoln Memorial in June. So I take great pride in introducing Barbara Lautman, Communications Director of Handgun Control Incorporated. Barb.
I can reach. This is the third time that I've come to speak at the Lennon Peace Tribute. And since I first spoke here, we've seen tremendous progress in the fight for handgun control legislation. Cities, towns, and states throughout the country have enacted handgun control laws. And thousands of Americans are working at every level of government to pass laws to end handgun violence. Just last week, the United States Supreme Court gave us our biggest victory yet. The court upheld the handgun ordinance in Morton Grove, Illinois, putting to rest forever the myth that the United States Constitution guarantees a right to keep and bear handguns. These victories are because people like you, angered by John Lennon's violent death, have devoted their time, energy, and talent to preventing senseless handgun death. You dared to challenge the power of the gun lobby and work for passage of laws to guarantee peace in our country. But what progress has been made in these 3 years is not enough, because since John Lennon died, more than 60,000 Americans have become victims of the same war that claimed his life, the American handgun war. It is indeed ironic that John Lennon, a man who campaigned so tirelessly for peace, died as a result of our irrational tolerance of handgun violence. Here at the Lennon Peace Tribute, we are gathered to honor a man who struggled for an end to violence. Had he stayed in England, he might well be alive today. You see, in America, there is a 1 in 5 chance that you or someone you know will be victimized by someone with a handgun. Statistics prove it, and the comparisons with other nations are startling. In 1980, handguns killed 77 people in Japan, 8 in Great Britain, 24 in Switzerland, 8 in Canada, 23 in Israel, 18 in Sweden, 4 in Australia, and 11,522 in the United States. John Lennon would have been safer. You would be safer if this country followed these examples and tried to stop America's deadly handgun war. But John Lennon saw hope in this country. He tried to convince us that an end to violence could be sought and could be found right here in America. His death only proves that we have not yet found a way to end violence in our society. And his death must continue to reinforce our determination to achieve peace. Perhaps it was the late Senator Robert F. Kennedy, himself a victim of handgun violence, who said it best. Reacting to the violent death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968, Kennedy said, "The victims of the violence are black and white, rich and poor, young and old, famous and unknown. They are, most important of all, human beings whom other human beings loved and needed. No one, no matter where he lives or what he does, can be certain who next will suffer from some senseless act of bloodshed. And yet it goes on and on and on in this country of ours." Less than 2 months later, Senator Kennedy lay dead, a victim of the American handgun war. It is often personal tragedy that draws people into the fight for handgun control. Handgun Control Incorporated has thousands of members who are victims of handgun violence, people who have lost sons, daughters, mothers, and fathers. Each of us here today is a victim because for us, the death of John Lennon is just such a loss. And so, as I told you last year and the year before, it is up to us to stop the violence. For it is the personal, intimate experience with handgun violence, which all John's fans feel, that can lead us to a successful fight for handgun control law. Each one of you should be angry, and that anger should grow until our success goes beyond the village trustees of Morton Grove, beyond the state legislature of Massachusetts, and right to the United States Congress. A strong, effective national handgun law is the best means we have of stopping tragedies like John's. So each of you who feels a personal loss in John Lennon's death should feel compelled to action. Write to your congressmen, write to your senators. Let them know that if we had a tough national handgun control law, your lives would be more secure. That perhaps the greatest hero of a generation would still be alive. Direct your anger and grief to the Congress and force them to act. With your numbers, we can win this fight. Thank you.